What's up YouTube, Saf here on Super Saf TV, and in this video we're going to be comparing the key differences between the Samsung Galaxy S7 and the iPhone 6s. So it's going to be Samsung versus Apple once again this year, and the S7 has just been announced today. So what are the key differences between these two devices? Well, let's find out, and hopefully it'll give you a better idea of which one to go for. So let's start off with the size difference. The Samsung Galaxy S7 does come in slightly larger, 4.1mm in terms of the height, 2.5mm in terms of the width, and it's also 0.8mm thicker. Now it is larger because it has a larger display, 5.1 inches versus the 4.7 inches on the iPhone 6s. Now there's some differences in terms of the technologies as well as the features behind these displays. You've got IPS on the iPhone 6s, and on the S7 you have Super AMOLED. The iPhone 6s does come with 3D Touch. Now this is a pressure sensitive display, so if you push down on certain icons and things, then you're going to get more options. So this does add another dimension to the usability of the smartphone. The S7 however does have an always on display, so you're going to be able to see things like your time notifications and your calendar and things just at a glance. You're not going to have to tap or touch the device to see that. Those will be there continuously, always on, as the name suggests. So that's definitely a nice and new feature. Now in terms of resolution, there's a huge difference here. The iPhone 6s has a 750 display, so that's 1334 by 750 pixels, roughly about 326 ppi. The Samsung Galaxy S7, as with the S6, has a Quad HD display, so that's 2560 by 1440, around about 577 ppi pixel density. So you're going to be getting much sharper details on the S7, and especially if you're going to be using things like VR, then having that screen right close up to your eyes, you're going to be able to see those differences. So the edge here definitely has to go to the Samsung Galaxy S7. Now in terms of the weight, the S7 does come in 9 grams more compared to the iPhone 6s. There's a difference in terms of the build as well. The iPhone 6s has a full metal build. It's a full metal unibody, which we also saw on the iPhone 6. This is popular with a lot of people, and it's definitely quite premium. Now with the Samsung Galaxy S7, it's very similar to the Samsung Galaxy S6 in that it's a metal frame with glass panels on the front and the back, but this time around the back panel is actually curved like we had with the Note 5, so this will make it a little bit more easier to use with one hand. Now one of the things that you're going to have in common with both these devices is that they're going to be very slippery in your hand, and there's an easy way to overcome that, and that's with a dbrand skin. And I'd like to thank dbrand for making this video possible. dbrand offer lots of different skins for your devices, and it's a great way to customize the look of your device, but also give it some more grip and protect it from scratches and fingerprints. I'm going to be leaving a link to dbrand in the description below, so do go ahead and check them out and pick up some quality inexpensive skins. Now the S7 does have a new feature this time around, and that is IP68 water and dust resistance. So this is definitely quite cool. You're not going to have to worry about splashing some water on it or anything. This is something you're not going to be able to do with the iPhone. So the S7 does get another edge here, and speaking of another edge, you also have the S7 Edge option. So this is a larger display, 5.5 inches, but it's also curved on both sides. Now you can also get the iPhone 6s Plus on the iPhone side here, which is once again a larger display, but you don't have that unique feature of the dual curved edges, which is definitely quite unique and nice. Now in terms of the internals, the iPhone 6s, you've got Apple's A9 chip. It's been very nice and fast in my experience. I've been using it for the past few months. Now with the S7, you've got either the Snapdragon 820 or Samsung's Exynos chip. Now this is going to depend on where you're from, which processor you're going to be getting, but I'm pretty sure both of them are going to be super fast, and we're going to be doing a detailed speed test between both of these, as we have been doing every year. You've got 2GB of RAM on the iPhone 6s, and on the S7 you've got 4GB of RAM, so double the amount of RAM. That should help towards multitasking. Now one of the issues that we have had with previous Samsung devices is RAM management. Although you have lots of RAM, in terms of RAM management, it does tend to close down apps in the background. So once we have these devices in hand, we'll be doing a detailed speed test, so make sure you are subscribed to see that first. In terms of storage options, with the iPhone 6s, you've got 16, 64 and 128GB versions. 16GB still in 2015, 2016 is absolutely silly and should not be allowed. So this is a tactic from Apple to make you go for the larger 64GB version. Now with the Samsung Galaxy S7, you have 32GB as a base model. There might be a 64GB option available in some markets, but for the main markets it is going to be 32GB. However, you do have expandable storage this time via micro SD card slot. Now this is something we didn't have on the Samsung Galaxy S6. It was something that a lot of Samsung users were very disappointed with, so it's very nice to see it come back on this. And obviously the advantages that you have with a micro SD card slot, you are going to be paying much less in the first instance, but you're also not going to have to worry about using up all your storage. You are going to be able to simply go ahead and pick up a micro SD card and expand that, so that's definitely nice to see. Now in terms of the cameras, both of these have 12 megapixels this time, so Samsung actually took a step back in terms of the megapixels. 16 megapixels is what we had on the S6, but now we have 12 megapixels, so the same resolution on both here. However, you do have an f1.7 aperture on the Samsung Galaxy S7. You've got f2.2 on the iPhone 6s. I believe the S7 also has optical image stabilization, although they've not fully confirmed this, but the larger aperture is going to mean that you're going to be getting better low light, and the better low light is also going to come from the larger pixel size. So the S7 also has a larger pixel size compared to the iPhone 6s. Now the comparisons that they showed at the event just blows the iPhone 6s Plus out the water as well. So this is going to be really interesting to see hands-on, and we're going to be having detailed camera comparisons like we do Super SAF style on the channel, so make sure you are subscribed to see those first. The other thing you also have on the Samsung Galaxy S7 is dual pixel autofocus. So this is supposed to be the fastest autofocus on any smartphone. It's actually used on some DSLRs, so this is going to be super awesome. And compared to the iPhone 6s, which has phase detection autofocus, now Samsung actually said that it uses 100% of the pixels to focus on the Samsung Galaxy S7 compared to the iPhone 6s, which only uses 5%. So autofocus is definitely going to be improved. Once again, we are going to be comparing these hands-on when they are out. 4K video recording on both, which is definitely nice to see. In terms of the front-facing cameras, we've got 5 megapixels here on both, but once again the aperture is much wider on the Samsung Galaxy S7, f1.7 compared to f2.2 once again, so that should give a better low light performance. Another advantage that the Samsung Galaxy S7 has as well is Quad HD front facing camera recording, so you're going to be able to get 1440p recording out the front facing camera. On the iPhone 6s it is still 720p, and that annoys the hell out of me, because especially these days when a lot of people are vlogging and things, having just 720p HD is definitely not nice. So you've got 4 times the resolution. Another advantage here for the Samsung Galaxy S7, one advantage that you're going to be getting with the iPhone 6s is updates straight to the device. With iOS you're going to be getting the latest version, and the updates are going to be coming straight to the device. With the S7, it's going to come with the latest version of Android, Marshmallow. However, it does have the TouchWiz skin on top, so you are going to have to wait for those updates. Now, in terms of the individual features, we'll be covering those more in detail when we have the devices in hand. Now, both devices also have a fingerprint scanner on the home button. The iPhone 6s was a little bit more accurate and a little bit more quicker compared to the S6. How that's going to be different on the S7, we're going to have to wait and see. You've got Samsung Pay versus Apple Pay on the iPhone 6s. Now, moving on to the batteries, the iPhone 6s only has a 1715 milliamp battery. This is not removable. With the Samsung Galaxy S7, they've actually upped the battery, so you've got 3000 milliamps. That's huge, and a big improvement on the 2550 milliamp battery on the Samsung Galaxy S6. Now, in terms of actual usage, we are going to have to test this out hands-on. In my experience, the S6 and the iPhone 6s had similar sort of battery life, even though the S6 had a larger battery, but that does go down to the fact that it's pushing out more pixels and things. So we are going to have to see these, but the S7 does have a much larger battery, and it also has wireless charging as well as fast charging, so you can charge up the S7 much quicker than the iPhone 6s. So this does give another advantage here to the Samsung Galaxy S7. Now, finally, looking at the pricing, the iPhone 6s, you've got your standard prices for the different versions, around about £540 here in the UK or $650 in the US off contract. With the S7, you're going to be looking at £570 here in the UK or around about $650 to $700 in the US. Now, these prices are off contract, but you are going to be getting a larger version, the 32 gig version, on the Samsung Galaxy S7 versus the 16GB base model, which I would definitely not recommend getting on the iPhone 6s. In terms of availability, the iPhone 6s is available now. You can go ahead and pick it up in the shops. The S7 is going to be available for pre-order in the next couple of days. It's actually available for pre-order here in the UK, and I've already pre-ordered the S7 as well as the S7 Edge, so do stay tuned for coverage of those. And it's going to be released on around about 11th of March, so that's the date you want to be putting into your diaries of when you're going to be able to get it if you pre-order it now. So those were the key differences between the Samsung Galaxy S7 and the iPhone 6s. Some great features here on both. What do you think? Which one do you think is better overall? Do drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe. As I've mentioned, the devices are going to be covered in detail on the channel, so make sure you have subscribed to see those first. Camera comparisons also come in. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.